The last part of the research paper is what we call the Works Cited page, and what that does is that cites all of your sources. Now this is where you're going to have to insert a manual page break. Now what does that mean, manual page break? Well, what that means is we want Works Cited to start on the next page. Don't ever do this by pressing enter to get to the next page. There's a very simple way to do it, and I'm going to show you. Of course, there's more than one way. We can just go to insert page break, okay, and notice if you have your paragraph marker showing, you'll see page break appear there. It will not print out on your document, okay, but it's already started you on the second page. Another way to do that, and I'm just going to undo that last action, is to do a control enter. I find that is the fastest and easiest way to insert a manual page break. So now I'm down on my last page, and notice where it has got me typing is already a ½ inch in. Well, we're going to want to make sure that we just do a backspace here. We want to come back to that left margin, and then we're going to type in our title, Works Cited, and we're going to center it. So I'm just going to use my quick Control-E keyboard shortcut. Then I'm going to press enter one time, and then I'm going to left align. I'm going to use Control-L for that, and then this is where your first citation would be. Now when creating citations, I encourage my students to use Noodle Tools. I know it sounds kind of funny, but we're going to type it in right here, noodletools.com, okay? And then what that will do, and I'll show you an example. Let's go here. If you scroll down to the bottom and click Noodle Tools Express, it's going to ask you to select a style. Well, of course, we're typing ours in MLA, and as you can see here, there are different types of citation styles for research papers. I'm actually taking master's classes right now, and we type our papers in this APA format. But for our purposes, we're just going to simply click MLA. This is going to take just a second for it to load. And while that's loading, basically what we're going to do here is we're going to go back to these citations. Now, where did this stuff come from? Okay, who is this Besthoff? Why do we have that in parentheses there? Well, notice in this sentence, we have this information that is in quotation marks, meaning they took that information from another source. So we need to make sure we cite that source. So that's what this is here. And if I can get this to come up, we're ready to create our citation. Now let's just say that Besthoff was the author of an article that we read on a website. Okay, so here's how you use Noodle Tools. It's actually pretty simple. You just go down to the type of your source. Well, we're going to say website. Create citation. Okay, and we're going to say the name of websites, and we're going to say cell phone use on the road was the name of the website. The publisher of the site, and we're just going to make this up, we'll say it's T-Mobile. And then the most recent date of access. So when did you go to that site? Well, we're just going to type in today's date. And then the date of publication. Now, It may be a copyright date, and a lot of times when you go to websites, all you're going to find here is a year. So let's just say that this was published in the year 2000. Okay, the URL. Fastest way to do this is to have the website up. Let's get to T-Mobile's website here. Now you want to make sure you have it on the specific page. For our example, it's going to be a little bit different because that article actually you can't, the one that we referenced in the paper, you can't access online. So we're just going to pretend that this T-Mobile homepage is the page that has our article on it. So let's get that up. And we're going to talk about a couple new keyboard shortcuts here. And of course you can always, you can use your right click feature to do these, but the keyboard shortcuts are going to save you a lot of time and headache when you use these next two features. Alright, so basically what we want to do is we want to highlight the URL and we want to copy it. Now like I said, you can right click and then click on copy, but what you can also do is just use your Control C feature. Now remember a little bit ago I said center is not Control C. Well, it belongs to copy. You're not going to see any change take place in the computer. All you have to do is simply click back on your tab with your Noodle Tools, click in the URL box, and to paste, we're going to do a Control V as in Victor. Okay, it is not Control P for paste. And I tell my students, if you look at your keyboard, C and V are together on the keyboard, so that's a real good way. Copy paste, they're together there. Control C, Control V. So then you have your URL copied correctly, and I would always copy and paste that because with URLs they tend to be very long sometimes, and if you type them in you're liable to make a mistake. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to come down and we want to give it our author name, and the author name is John A. Besthoff. Okay, and he was the only contributor. If you have more than one author, just click right here, change it to author, and type in their names. Okay, the web page or document or article title, okay, and that is going to be use of cell phones on the road. Okay, we don't need an English translation because that's already in English. The article that I read didn't have an editor. Okay, so this whole editor of the site, you can just leave it blank. If you do have editors, just simply go in and enter in that information, and then just come down and click Submit. And what that is going to do is it is going to give you your MLA Works Cited citation. All you have to do here is just do Control C to copy again, and then we're just going to flip over to our research paper. We're going to go down to that Works Cited page, and I'm going to do a Control V to paste. Okay, now here's where it's important to have those paragraph markers on I was telling you about, because notice we've got to do some formatting here. We need to make sure first of all that our font is Times New Roman 12, so we're just going to highlight everything and do Times New Roman 12. We need to make sure it's double spaced, so we're going to do a Control 2. And then see here we've got these extra spaces and we've got an enter here and we don't need it because this is on 3 lines. It looks kind of funny. We can just simply press delete here until we only have 1 space like we're supposed to. Okay. Now the last step with your Works Cited page is you want to use what they call a hanging indent. And just to kind of show you what this is going to look like, I'm going to copy and paste that citation 3 times. Alright, so once you have your citations on there, you want to highlight them, and you want to go to this bottom triangle, and you want to make sure you're only moving the bottom sections, and you want to go to the ½ mark, giving what we call it a hanging indent. Now this is just a backwards from a regular indent of a paragraph. It's where the second line is indented. And then you see it went ahead and did all of our Works Cited nicely for us there.